Well, good afternoon. My name is Anthony Chang, and I lead Niantic Ventures. I'd like to take a show of hands from the audience. I just want to get a sense of all of you. How many of you actually raised money from venture capitalists or angel investors in the past? How many of you are currently raising? Perfect, you're all in the right place. This is good. So I'd like to start by introducing myself. I've been with Niantic for about 4 years now. I actually live in Hong Kong, but I spent about half my life living here in the US and the other half in Greater China. From a career perspective, I've been on both sides of the table. I've been both an entrepreneur for doing a couple companies. Niantic's my third startup that I joined. And I've also been an investor for the other half of my career. Having been an entrepreneur, I believe actually makes me a better investor because I can be very empathetic to everything you all are going through. I actually do love meeting with every company that we meet. Love learning about all your great ideas and I always end up learning something new and just interacting with very passionate people. Always love giving feedback, kicking ideas around and brainstorming new ideas. So please don't be bashful about reaching out to us. So I wanted to share something very personal about myself. I actually love to hike. And this is actually a picture of my favorite hike in Hong Kong. It's called Dragon's Back. It's in Hong Kong. And for those of you that don't know, Hong Kong actually, most people think of Hong Kong as like a big concrete jungle, but actually there are some of the best hikes in the world. And it's, I love it. So Dragon's Back, this is like pretty much a 20, 30-minute hike straight up. It's actually quite tiring in the beginning, but once you get there, you get this amazing view. This is a view of Sheko, which is a fishing village in Hong Kong. And then it goes on for about an hour, hour and a half, and just nice rolling hills, and just very invigorating. I've done this hike countless of times over the last 30 years, and it just really doesn't get old. For me, going out hiking is not just exercise, but also helps me balance. Helps me find balance and calms me down, especially when I've had a tough day at work or just personal life. So it's very important to me. Now, I have 2 teenage daughters, and so for those of you that have young kids or teenagers, you'll probably understand this as well. But trying to get them to go out for a hike or get them to go out for a walk is like next to impossible. It's like pulling teeth. But then something interesting happened in July of 2016, and you all know what happened, Pokemon Go. And all of a sudden, the tables turned. They couldn't get their shoes on fast enough to go out and catch that rare Pokemon or that shiny. And so my wife and I, who aren't really big gamers, actually embraced Pokemon Go because it got us outside, and more importantly, it got us to do it together as a family. And honestly, this is one of the big reasons why I actually joined Niantic about a year later. So getting people like my kids and their friends off their couch was not done haphazardly. It's actually very deliberate. And this is our mission. It's really to inspire people to explore the world together, right? I mention this because this is our North Star. This is the reason why we exist as a company. This is embedded in our culture. And people our team members, the people that work for Niantic, all gravitate towards Niantic because we have this vision. And it's actually the first place where I've worked where it's okay to go for a walking one-on-one, or our offsites revolve around hikes or taking walks around the city. So our mission does guide our strategy. It guides our product decisions. It guides why we came up with Lightship and why we're all here today at this summit. And I mention this, and I really emphasize this, because this is the lens that Niantic Venture uses when we look at investment opportunities, right? For us, it's about supporting companies that use technology, whether AR, LBS, whatever, to get people out to explore the real world, right? We want to support startups and investors to create the real-world metaverse ecosystem. So let me pause and introduce our team. Next to me up here on the slide is JM Go. He's based in Asia and looks at most of our international opportunities. Dan Morris, who's here today, runs our developer relations team and one of the big driving forces behind this summit. So thank you, Dan, for a fantastic summit. And we have Carly, who's based in San Francisco, who's also been very instrumental in making all this happen as well. So thank you, Carly. And the nice thing about working with Niantic Ventures is that, if we feel that there's some interesting business opportunity or something a little more strategic, we can parallel path it. We can look at you and evaluate you as an investment opportunity, but we'll also introduce you to our BD team. We talk to them all the time. And our main interfaces here are Jenna, Cassie, Brett, and Junji. And I see Jenna right there, and I've seen a bunch of different people around the conference. So details, right, about the fund. As I mentioned, we're all about investing in companies that deal with the real world, supporting the real world metaverse ecosystem. Our typical investment size is $250,000 to $500,000, and we invest in both equity and tokens. Now let me pause. We are very open to Web3 opportunities, and we completely understand that in those kind of situations, it could be an equity, it could be a hybrid of equity and tokens, or it could just be a token raise. And so we're very open. We have a very flexible mandate. Definitely happy to talk. We are a strategic investor. There's no doubt about that. And having been a VC, you understand kind of the ups and downs of working and the potential conflicts of interest that happen when you're working with the strategic. And so when we conceived of Niantic Ventures, we wanted to mitigate a lot of these conflicts. And so we came up with certain guidelines that we hold fast to. First is we'll never lead around. We'll always co-invest alongside a top-tier VC or angel investor. Second is we won't price around. And third, we don't set terms. So hopefully this helps mitigate a lot of the conflicts. And lastly, as much as we love everyone to use Lightship, it's not a hard and fast rule. It's not a requirement. However, as a portfolio company, you automatically become part of our Managed Partners program. And you get that extra white glove treatment from Dan and his team. So how do we look at opportunities? So this is a question I get asked all the time. And unfortunately, there is no easy answer, right? There's no checklist. There's no algorithm. A lot of it has to do with pattern recognition and intuition. This comes from talking to hundreds, if not thousands, of companies, just in our experience, and also just the experience that we've had, with our own investment experience with successful and, more importantly, companies that haven't done so well, failures. You learn a lot from that. So the best way that I figured that we could kind of talk about how we look at deals is to give a couple case studies. Now, I'm not sure if you all noticed this morning as part of the announcement, but we're very, very proud to announce that Niantic Ventures has made its first 2 investments. And the first was in Trip, the other was in Pixelynx. Very lucky to have Nanea Reeves from Trip here and Inder Phul from Pixelynx. They're going to be doing a fireside chat a little bit later with Dan, talking about their experience, and you'll learn a lot more about what they do. But for my talk, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking about why we invested in them. So Pixelynx, right? For those of you that don't know them, they're focused on building the music metaverse. Now, when I first started out in venture many, many decades ago, I had a great mentor that always gave great advice. And the one thing that he always told me was, you invest in a company either based on its management or its market, right? With Pixelynx, we didn't have to choose. It's one of those rare cases, right? You got both, right? So the opportunity in the music and entertainment space is pretty clear. And in the real-world AR space, it's completely greenfield. Music labels, artists, entertainers, event planning companies, they're all jumping into the space, doing either partnership deals, putting a lot of money in. And as a team, we love the space. And for us, it was really trying to find the right team. And so when we first met Inder, we knew we had a winner. Inder is a product-oriented CEO. And he co-founded the company with veterans and luminaries of the music world, including Deadmau5 and Richie Hawtin. And he's built a fantastic world-class management team with a proven track record in music, entertainment, and gaming. One of the things that really impressed me most about Inder and his team is the team's ability to balance their long-term vision with very short-term objectives that could be easily measurable, right? And speaking as an entrepreneur, there can be many distractions, as we all know. Either great opportunities that come your way, or curveballs that get thrown at you on a daily basis. And you have limited resources. So at the end of the day, it's all about prioritization, right? And the nice thing is, but you also have to obviously be a visionary at the same time. So every single time we met with the Pixelynx team, right, we'd always get into a great discussion about where they wanted to take the company in the future. So the vision was always very clear. But they would quickly move the conversation to all the different milestones they would have on a monthly basis. Now, we had probably met with them over the course of about 4 to 6 months before we actually made the investment. And every single time we met with them, we would always they'd always talk about their next milestone. And the thing that always happened was they always delivered on those milestones, which is something that is, quite frankly, very rare for a company of their stage, and something that really sets them apart. And so Inder's going to talk a little bit more about Pixelynx, but we're honestly very excited to work with him and the rest of the Pixelynx to build out the music metaverse. So Trip. The first time I met Nenea, and Nenea, I don't know if you remember this, but it was at the launch party, or the launch event back in November, and it was at a lunch, right? And let me paint the picture here. I had actually just flown in from Hong Kong, 16-hour flight, probably got 3 hours of sleep, so I was totally jet-lagged and tired. Unfortunately, when I got to this lunch, which I got there late, there was an empty seat next to Nenea, and very fortunate. Now, I don't remember a lot about that lunch or the day, but I do remember having a fascinating conversation about meditation, right? And talking about our various experiences and practice, and it was just, the last thing I would have expected coming to this event, right? It was only later that day that Dan pointed her out and said, "That's Nenea Reeves, and I want you to meet with her. She's doing Trip," and kind of the rest is history. But there are a lot of reasons why we invested in Trip. But I'd say the one thing that stands out is the fact that they're a mission-driven company, right? And their mission and purpose is very clear. Now let me read it to you. They're a portal into the mindful metaverse that enhances the human experience. They're a purpose-driven team that believes in the use of technology for good and are committed to helping people find solutions and experiences that drive a deeper connection to self and the world around them. And through every interaction that we've had with Nenea and her team members, you realize that every aspect of their business, all the decisions that they make, the hiring decisions that they make, the people that they're able to attract, every aspect is aligned with their mission. This might sound really basic to have a mission statement and a purpose, but you would be surprised how many companies that don't have that, either they don't have it, more often than not, it's muddled, or it's just not aligned, right? And trust me, there are a lot of reasons why companies succeed and fail, but the one common thread for successful companies is that they have a clear mission and purpose, right? And this goes to something that our CEO, John Hanke, always talks about with us at our leadership offsites or in our company meetings, and that's about building Niantic as a forever company. So forever companies are companies that will stand the test of time. They're the ones that will be there long after the founders and the original management team are gone, right? And underlying all of them is having that strong mission and purpose, right? Let's face it, the current macro environment is really tough, right? You've got, everyone's seen the headlines, inflation's at an all-time high, interest rates are up, the war in Ukraine, the zero COVID policy in China. But the reality is that forever companies are the ones that are going to be able to figure out how to navigate through these really tough waters, and will come out on the back end probably even stronger than when they got in. And those are the kind of companies that we want to invest in. We want to invest in forever companies. So that's the end of my talk. Would love to meet all of you. If you have a business plan or want to connect, we're at ventures@nianticlabs.com. We have office hours. I believe that they're opened up for tomorrow morning. We'd love to meet you. Again, happy to give you advice on hiking in Hong Kong or talk about business plans, something that we'll definitely love to do. And I'd now like to actually introduce Dan, Nanea, and Inder, who are going to be going into a fireside chat and talk about their companies and their experiences with the Lightship. Thank you very much.